Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and we're going to be talking about Saul Niguez to start off with tonight, because apparently talks have begun between Manchester United and Saul Niguez, and his agent will be flying into England on Monday to tour England, not because it's on holiday, because he wants to talk to Manchester United and Liverpool. Now, we've had an update from Romano on this as well. We've also got a few other bits to discuss in relation to United's midfield transfer targets, players returning, what that means, and a few other things as well. But we'll start off with Saul Niguez. And so basically, this is coming from two English outlets saying that Manchester United have begun talks with Saul Niguez, and his agent is flying into England on Monday to discuss terms with Premier League clubs, which would probably be Manchester United and Liverpool. However, Fabrizio Romano has been talking today, and what he said is it's not about where agents are going, it's about what the player does. And Saul Niguez is open to anything, and he would come to the Premier League, but it depends whether his move to Barcelona, which is still being touted about, collapses or not. And as we understand with Barcelona is they've got no money. They've got no money. So the reality is, somebody just said Saul Niguez's agent lives in England, but maybe he's in Spain, mate, and he's flying into England. Maybe he's already in England. Who knows? But the crux of this is that it's listening to Romano, it feels like Saul Niguez is Barcelona bound if they can sort out this deal with Griezmann. I don't know how they sort this Griezmann deal out, because how can Atletico Madrid pay Griezmann £700,000 a week? But Saul Niguez and Griezmann are meant to be involved in some sort of swap deal. If that doesn't happen, then Saul Niguez to the Premier League is an option, and he's open to that, and Manchester United become an option then as well. Now, ESPN was saying this morning that Manchester United are keeping tabs and are in talks of representatives of Camavinga, Saul Niguez and Ruben Neves. So you can almost say that, you know, this is the situation United find themselves in. It's Camavinga, it's Saul Niguez, or it's Neves, because it's very unlikely to be Declan Rice or anybody else for various different reasons. I've got to be honest, and before I talk about Saul Niguez and his suitability, and I think you're going to enjoy it like you did the Ruben Neves chat last night that me and Levin had about his suitability. The interesting thing here is that in relation to this midfield thing, I don't know how anybody else feels, but I feel like this has the vibes of other transfer windows. I know it's wrong to say it when we've had such a good window. Sancho and Varane are not to be sniffed at. They are fantastic signings. But I do feel now that we're wandering into summer's past in the transfer market, where Sancho, it was very solid from the start of the window. Varane very quickly became very solid. This feels soft. And I know that's probably giving you thoughts of something else, but it just, which is also something else, but it doesn't, it feels like summer's past. It feels like in the past when we were linked to Saul Niguez, or where we were linked to Vidal, or where we were linked to Schneider or Ozil. It doesn't feel like these links are very strong, and that worries me for such a priority position. It doesn't feel that strong. Now, hopefully, over the next few days, it will solidify and become stronger links. But at the moment, I desperately want us to buy a midfielder. I just don't know that the club wants to. And I'll go back to what I said on the morning show. We can very easily sell Lingard and Dan James for 40 million and buy a midfielder with that money. And we won't miss Lingard and James because we've got Martial, Greenwood, Cavani and Sancho. And then we've got Alanga and Ahmad, even before Rashford comes back. But it doesn't feel like Ollie's being decisive enough about those things. I'm pretty sure we'll see James and Lingard part of our squad at the start of the season, which leaves us massively overstacked in the attack and massively underrepresented in the pivots. So I don't know. But what Romano did say is that on the midfield front, and maybe this is why I'm feeling a little bit worried, but what he said is on the midfield front, there is interest for United, but it is very quiet, and the situation will remain quiet unless somebody leaves. Somebody's got to go. Now, we don't want it to be Van der Beek. I don't think it will be Pogba. It has to therefore be Matic. And it's a bit quiet around Matic. So United's midfield situation concerns me because I think we need to bring somebody in. But I just have a horrible feeling that this is all just paper talk. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. However, Let's talk about Saul Niguez. Let's bring it back to a positive. Ian Fitzpatrick says Locatelli. Romano has literally just said Locatelli, Nedved, Juventus. Nedved, I think, is their director of football or something. He's saying that put a bid in. Locatelli will go to Juventus. He's not going to come to the Premier League. I think it was Arsenal who tried to get him. Not going to happen. So let's talk about Saul Niguez then. Let's bring it back. So there is something there. There's probably more on Saul Niguez than there is on Ruben Neves. I mean, we spoke about Ruben Neves this morning. That deal can be done, but United don't seem to be looking to do it. With Saul Niguez, at least Romano is saying, look, Saul Niguez is open to anything. United are monitoring the situation like they are monitoring Camavinga. I don't think Romano said anything about Ruben Neves. So let's talk about Saul Niguez. Hi Mark, appreciate and listen to the United Stand every day. Great content every time. Keep it up, mate, says Martin Mandak. Big shout out to everyone who's tuning in, live or not. Please smash a like on video. Got a couple of new moderators as well. Welcome to them. If I see them, I'll shout them out. But I can see Lucas and Sally, Devil Red 7 there. So, right, let me just say this. So, in relation to Saul Niguez, sometimes the devil is in the detail. I look at, and Charlie says monitoring FC, I look at Manchester United, right? And we've all got an opinion and it's all fantastic. And this morning, some people were saying that Ruben Neves is shit and some people are saying he's good. I personally think he would suit us very well. I think he's better than Fred and McTominay. But this show is about Saul Niguez. What is Saul Niguez suitability at Manchester United? Because even with Raphael Varane, and there is an update on Varane actually, but even with Raphael Varane is coming to Manchester United at 28 as a four times Champions League winner, World Cup winner, won numerous La Ligas, and yet people are saying he's fell off, or he's not that good, or Ramos covered for him. I mean, this is the sort of thing you'll get. Even when you do something really positive, people will find negativity. All these options and the uncertainty is frustrating. 2 good signings done and we're back to our old roots. A midfield transfer is season changing, says Jacob. I agree. Pereira and Lingard should fetch 40 million. Ahmad needs regular game time. Better to loan and keep James as Ollie won't play him. Love the video on Regista, yes. Last night's video was on Regista. 25 minutes into last night's video, you'll find the talk about Regista. But we're about to talk about a Regista again. A Regista is a conductor. It is a holding midfielder who takes the ball off the back four, protects the back four, and, plays the ball, runs the game. Jorginho, Chelsea, Italy. So we were talking about this last night and why this is what United need. And Michael Carrick was a bit of a Regista himself when he was at Manchester United. So Saul Niguez, if we bought Saul Niguez, there are some people who think Saul was born with permanent COVID, he will quarantine forever. Says Hindiana. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Sanderberg is big fish in a small pond, says Jacob. Yeah, I don't think Sanderberg is a Regista either, to be honest with you. But look, be careful about Sanderberg. I've always said that that's a possibility this summer. Now, Marvin AM says Niguez isn't good enough. This is what I wanted to bring in. I wanted a bit of negativity around Saul Niguez because I think there are people who are pro Saul Niguez, but I think there are people who are not pro Saul Niguez. Now, this is where we delve into the devil in the detail. 3 years ago, in 2019, Man City were looking for a holding midfielder, and they very seriously got linked to Saul Niguez. They ended up getting Rodri from the same club. They played together at Atletico Madrid. Now, in relation to Saul Niguez, he is a player that Pep Guardiola very seriously considered bringing to Manchester City. Now, I don't know why he didn't do it. I don't know whether he felt that Rodri was more suitable or that Rodri was cheaper, because Saul Niguez in 2019 was probably less gettable than he is now. But if you go back to 2019 and you look around what was being said about Saul Niguez, a lot of people were saying he'd be a very good replacement for Fernandinho. The only query is he's used to playing in a midfield pivot and not as a holding midfielder. But his tenacity, his tackle and interception rate, and his passing and his dynamic play would be a good fit as a holding midfielder if you turned him into that instead of just a pivot player. That is very interesting when you look at what Manchester United are looking at doing. Because United are looking at bringing in a holding midfielder, but they're not necessarily going to go to one holding midfielder. They might play with a pivot like McFred. We're all assuming we're going to go to start playing with one holding midfielder. We might not do that. So closing your eyes to Saul Niguez is silly. After the whole day, United Stand gives you all the updates you need to have a good sleep. Keep up the good work, says Arca. Well, hopefully I'm not putting you to sleep. Guardiola also wanted Fred. I mean, that's a fair point. But what I'm trying to say here is that you will get people, and I like Kelvin Phillips, Shaki, I do like Kelvin Phillips, but what I would say is that you will get people who find a problem with everything. We spoke about Ruben Neves last night, and people saying no, he couldn't do it. We've spoken about Goretzka, he can't do it. We've spoken about Bissouma, he's more of a box-to-box. We've spoken about Camavinga, he's more of a box-to-box. We're speaking about Saul Niguez, he's more of a box-to-box. He's 26. 27 in November, Saul Niguez. He can't be a box-to-box forever. The natural progression of a midfielder is box-to-box becomes holding midfielder as they get older. And he is moving into those older years. My primary concern with Saul Niguez is that, one, we could get quite excited about it and we're not really in it, and he goes to Liverpool like Fabinho did and we felt he was suitable. 2, he goes to Barcelona. 3, why is he not in the Atletico Madrid team anymore? What went wrong last year? I remember someone saying last week, if you were going to get Saul Niguez, you'd better do a bloody thorough medical, because what is it that has stopped Saul Niguez developing at Atletico Madrid last season? And when I say developing, why did he fall off? I don't know. Thanks for the super chat, Avik. I watched the Liga and I'm up to date with it. Haven't seen such an expansive, overrated, and not particularly good at anything midfielder for a while, says Jacob. Well, there you go. Thanks for the super chat. So look, I like the negativity. I like the fact that people give both sides. But Tom Howlett says Saul Niguez is not a regista. Well, Tom Howlett, as I said, Tom, you've got every right to have your opinion. But as I said, 3 years ago, Pep Guardiola was looking at him as a replacement for Fernandinho. Fact. Tom Howlett or Pep? Pep was looking at him to be a regista or holding midfielder for Manchester City. So I think we close our minds off. I'm not going down this road. I'm not disrespecting Tom. I'm not disrespecting anybody who's saying they're not this, they're not that. But to be honest with you, football's not the Jedi and the Sith. It lives in between. We're not absolutes here. I've been watching football all my life. And, I had it last season. Van der Beek's a number 10 and that's all he is. And I was like, he's not just a number 10. He can play off the right. He could play holding midfielder. Well, he's never really played there. I don't give a shit whether he's ever played there or not. I believe he can play there. And actually, Van der Beek has played box-to-box and can play box-to-box. So people get very closed off on positions. This ain't FIFA Ultimate Team. This is not if you move a left midfielder to left wing, his chemistry goes from 10 to 5. This is real life. A footballer doesn't become shit because you move them 10 metres down the pitch and tell them to do a certain job. Some people can do it, some people can't. Scholes, striker, attacking midfielder, box-to-box, holding midfielder across his career. Even Ryan Giggs, who's a left winger, became a midfielder towards the end. People can do different roles. And I tell you what, a box-to-box midfielder who can tackle and pass and is intelligent in their positional sense, while the natural progression before retirement is a holding midfielder, because your energy levels will drop, but you will still retain the ability to pass, read the game and tackle. And I think that Saul Niguez can be a holding midfielder. Ruben Neves can be a holding midfielder. Bissouma can be a holding midfielder. And Camavinga can be a holding midfielder. Do they want to be? Is that the plan? I don't know. I'm not even convinced we're going to buy a midfielder. But what I would say is, if we don't buy and this is where I think some people only sift deal in absolutes. Gordon Murray, you're absolutely spot on. Karen says Camavinga over Niguez any day of the week. Niguez is overrated. The club says sell to buy, but the Glazers took out 8 million out of the club in dividends yesterday. Apparently, still the same. Glazers out, says Ian. Well, that needs high level publication if that's true. If the Glazers have taken 8 million out, then that needs to be true, put out. In fact, we've just had it again. One Football, the Glazers slipped themselves another $8 million dividend while fans distracted by Sancho and Varane signings. I want that clarified. And if that's true, this is what I mean about the Glazers. I mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But they've done it in the past. And they did say in that meeting this is very important actually. They did say in that meeting a few weeks ago when they met with the fan forum and they were talking about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to look at the shares, this, that and the other. They did also say that dividends are good and debt is good. Well, I don't know whether they said good, but they said it's okay. They're not going to change. So, yeah, another 8 million. I think does that take... Just ridiculous. We're the only club with the owners who do that as well. No other club does that. No other club takes out the money that our owners do. Liverpool don't do it. City don't do it. Chelsea don't do it. Spurs don't do it. Our club does it. Disgusting. Can Wan-Bissaka turn into a CDM? No, God, Avek, you've just wasted whatever you've spent there. I'm sorry, I'm not reading the rest of that. It makes me want to vomit out my eyes. Zix says, Fred can do the job quite easily, especially now with Varane in defence. He has energy and he's a good tackler. Zix, he can't pass, mate. I mean, you really need to go and watch the show last night, because I can't repeat myself. It's not fair on the people who do watch the shows. But we spoke about this last night. You're going to stick Fred as a holding midfielder. The ball will never make it to the halfway line. Like, we need somebody who can take the ball off the back four and pass the ball forward 50 yards, 20 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards. That's a regista. That's somebody who runs the game. Fred couldn't run a bath from midfield. Like, he can't pass enough. His passing is nowhere near good enough to run a game. You're talking the Carricks of this world. You're talking the Jorginhos of this world. Fred can run around and tackle. Yes, he definitely can. He can't run a midfield on his own. No way can he do that. And that's what we're looking to do here. But what I think is most important is I think we're getting a bit lost. People are going, Saul Niguez can't run the midfield on his own. Camavinga can't run the midfield on his own. Ruben Neves can't run the midfield on his own. We can't get these players. They're not good enough. But what you're realising is if we don't buy a midfielder, our midfield next season is going to be McTominay and Fred. Same as last year. So surely, buy Saul Niguez, buy Ruben Neves, buy Camavinga, buy one of them, because even if we don't play with one holding midfielder, we all know they can play in a pivot. And I'd rather see Camavinga and Fred, or McTominay and Saul Niguez, or Fred and Neves over McTominay and Fred. So one way or another, we need to buy a midfielder, whether we're playing a pivot or a holding midfielder. And I mean, where is this holding midfielder thing coming from anyway? Like, have you seen any evidence of it in pre-season? Because I haven't. I'm not convinced we're going to play with a holding midfielder. I still think we'll play with a two. And if we're going to play with a two, then Saul Niguez, Ruben Neves, Camavinga are perfect, because they play in the midfield too. So I just think get one of them in. For me, it's one of the rare occasions where I'm just going to say I would be happy with any of them, really. I mean, there's strong cases for all. I think Camavinga's got the potential to be better than Neves and Saul Niguez. I think Neves is Premier League proven, but I think Saul Niguez has probably got the bigger potential if he hits it, even at 26. But ultimately, I would be very happy with any of them, because I think all three of them are better than what we've got. Hi Mark, even if we do sell the Deadwood, how much will actually go back into the transfer pot and we'll actually spend it this year, says Dasbo. And Neves is already Premier League proven, says Jack Rankin, looking for a step up, has great passing, defensive positioning and a wicked shot on him, would love him at United. And look, let's not forget, all three of these players are available for less than 40 million. Neves is available for about 35, Saul Niguez is available for about 35 and Camavinga is available for 25. So, you know, all this talk about sell to buy, it's 35 million quid. It's nothing. You can make that you know you're going to make that. If you want to buy someone for 35 million, buy them now. Because I tell you what, United can make that next month. Piece of piss. Lingard goes for 25. Pereira probably goes for 15. Dan James could go for 20. Matic could go for 5 or 10. I mean, there's loads of ways to get 35 million quid in. I think United want more than that. I think they want to make more than that, because I don't think they want to cover the midfielder. I think they want to start covering Varane as well. I think they want to get our net spend down to about 70 million. That's the thing, because that's what we normally do. Will Everton be too soon for Varane, says Matthew. Okay, well let's see what happens with Saul Niguez, whether his agent's flying in for talks or not. I'd go with Romano. I mean, I think what Romano's saying about Saul Niguez and everything else is that United are monitoring a lot of midfielders, but at the moment they've got to sell to buy. And it's quiet, but let's see what happens over the next few days. But we do need to get a midfielder, and the sooner the better, because the season is going to start. In relation to Varane, there has been an update tonight from Fabrizio Romano, but there was also an update from Manchester Evening News, and it's much of a much. They're basically saying that Varane is going to fly into Manchester on Monday. That is the plan. He will then quarantine, have a medical, and start training with the team. That would rule him out of an Everton game, because if he flies in on Monday, he's got a quarantine. How long is the quarantine? So that would mean a medical towards the end of the week, which means he won't play against Everton and would be pushing it to be available for the Leeds game. It's a shame. It's a big, big shame, because he has been training with Real Madrid. And if we didn't have quarantine for COVID, he'd probably be in England now, having his medical and training with United from Monday. In fact, I would almost say this. Manchester United tweeted out on, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Manchester United tweeted out on Tuesday, that we'd completed a deal with Real Madrid. It's now Saturday and he's still in Spain and he's got to quarantine for 5 days. You'd think we might have got him into England a bit quicker, because if we I know the deal gets done on Tuesday. You can't say get on a plane now, and he's got to sort his affairs out. But maybe we could have got him in by Thursday. If he's here Thursday, his quarantine's over Tuesday. Medical, he's training by Wednesday. If he's flying in on Monday, his quarantine might not be over till Saturday when we're playing a game. Doesn't have his first training session till a week on Monday. I don't know what United are up to here. I'm hoping that there's some sort of rule that allows him to bypass the quarantine, because we need him. He's ready to be training. We need him training because we need him for the Leeds game. We're not bloody starting with Lindelof against Leeds. I think we turned a certain Roy Keane from a box-to-box midfielder into a CDM, as far as I know. That turned out well. Come on, folks. Sal would be a great Man United signing, says Mark Coogan. And just to play Davil's advocate, could Fred do the defensive work and let Pogba run the game? I do want a register just to confirm. Well, Daniel, I personally think that if we bought nobody, our best midfield two is Fred and Pogba. And to be fair, a lot of people, I throw my opinion out sometimes, and I've obviously been sat down here because a lot of people saying he needs a visa first, which is obviously the hold up. Nonzo, you're gone. You're gone, Nonzo. Why do people have to be abusive as well when they're giving information? Bye bye. Everyone say bye to Nonzo. He's gone. Tanvir says that Saul Niguez has very serious kidney issues, eventually hampered his form. I did read about that, actually. So much so that after games, when he was urinating blood. Darmish, we've spoken about that. You're a bit late on there. Trippier signing on deadline day, not interested. Trippier for me, welcome to the club. You're already here. There is no hype. I'm not hyped by signing a backup right back that I think is actually a bad idea. I think Ollie's not... I mean, look, let's go on to this story. So Varane's going to be in next week. De Gea's back in training and Lindelof's back in training. Let's talk about this Trippier thing. I'm not getting it. I like Trippier. Welcome to the club. Blah-de-blah. I don't like this signing. I don't trust Solskjaer on this at all. I hope it works out right, but I don't trust him. I just keep thinking about Henderson and De Gea. I don't think about Telles and Shaw. I think about Henderson, De Gea, and I think about the mess that's been created there. Ooh, one for the cup, one for the league. And I'm like, who's the number one? What stability is this? Where's the consistency with this? And I look at Trippier and Wan-Bissaka and I see the same old fuzzy thinking again. Ooh, one for the cup and one for the league, Kadaki. But I'm like, you've got Wan-Bissaka, who you spent 50 million quid on, who's probably had a very shit time because of the instability on the right side of our team. On the left-hand side, it's basically Rashford, Shaw and Maguire, the L. They play together a lot. On the right-hand side, you've got Lindelof, who couldn't bloody jump on a bloody trampoline. He's so bad in the air. He's got the physicality. Well, I'm not going to say that. He's not very strong. And then you've got, on the right-hand side, it could be Mata, it could be Greenwood, it could be James. I don't think Wan-Bissaka actually has a lot of stability on the right-hand side. And he's definitely a work in progress. But we're going to bring a right back in who's just won the Liga. How's that going to work then? Who's going to get benched? Why is this a priority position? So I'm not overly excited about Trippier. I do like Trippier. It's nothing against Trippier. But I'm not excited about this deal. And if this is what we're going to be doing for August. And look, there's a very big chance that we are. There's a lot of rumours coming out of Spain now that Atletico Madrid don't want to sell Trippier, but he wants to go, and United are going to be negotiating for the next few weeks. That could be our last bit of business, Trippier. And I'm not excited about it. I'm just not excited about a 30-year-old right back who is going to unsettle our 50 million right back. And people will say the competition will do him good. The competition didn't do Telles any good. It did Shaw good. There was a loser in that race, and it was Telles. He never bloody plays. So, yeah, Luke Shaw benefited from us spending 15 million, but the player we spent 15 million on didn't benefit. There's a winner and there's a loser. And who's going to be the winner and loser in the Trippier and Wan-Bissaka thing? I think it's going to go the same way as De Gea and Henderson. So I don't oppose the signing, but I certainly don't get excited about spending all of August chasing a right back when we need a bloody midfielder. That's what we need to do. That's the focus. That's what we need to do. John Smith says, what do you think Ollie's plan is with Henderson and De Gea? And love the chat about ESL on Twitch. Madrid, Barca and Juve might just pull the biggest con job in football, all because the owners are greedy. It says Just Football. Yeah, if you want to see the return of the Super League chat, that's on That's Football. I've uploaded it on there. Going back to that question from John Smith about the goalkeeping situation. So David De Gea is back in training. He's back in training from Monday, and so is Lindelof. A lot of the players are coming back. I don't know when Luke Shaw and... oh, I've got no hand. My hand has gone. Look. Oh, my hand. Look. Darth Vader's chopped my hand off. Oh. I'm an idiot. But I don't know what the situation is with Maguire and Sancho and Shaw in relation to when they're going to return. We know Rashford's not going to return because of his injury. But I don't... I was thinking about this a little bit. Look, actually, you know what? Let's jump on this topic. I feel like Henderson and De Gea is very much the same if we get Trippier. I think that's the same situation. My preference is De Gea and Wan-Bissaka, but I don't dislike Henderson and Trippier. I just think they're victims of the system that forces us to pick a side. Ultimately, you can only pick one right back and you can only pick one goalkeeper, and you go with your preference. If you go out for a Sunday lunch tomorrow and you're looking at the menu and you've got a roast chicken or you've got a roast beef, you can't have both. You pick one. And if you're a vegetarian, you're screwed. So the reality is, you know, we as football fans are forced to make decisions. I never feel guilty about saying I'd rather have that player over that player if you can't play both. We can't play two goalkeepers. It doesn't matter how much I like Henderson. I can't play him if I want to pick De Gea. And again, you can't really pick two right backs. So I would pick Wan-Bissaka. And I think that there is a similarity there. But what I was going to say is on this one, the Glazers story seems to be true, Mark, reported from Laurie Whitwell. We'll have a look. If anyone's got it anywhere on Twitter, I can look about it. We'll bring it into the show in a minute. But I was thinking about this today. We obviously hear a lot that Dean Henderson is now the number one and Dean Henderson's going to start the season against Leeds. You know, we keep hearing that, so we've got to assume there's some truth in it. But you know, when reality bites, when everybody starts coming back to training, it's easy to say Dean Henderson's number one when he's training and David De Gea's on holiday. David De Gea's back from holiday on Monday. What's Ollie going to do? Karaki, don't let me see, Karaki. Don't let me see. Why aye, man, Ollie. He's just done a great save again, man. Top corner bins and he saved it with a blindfold on. Oh no, Karaki, I don't want to see it. Karaki, no. What if De Gea comes back and he's doing really good in training? Do you want a coach that says, no, Karaki, Dino's number one? Why aye, man, I'm telling you now. Let's play that back, Ollie. I'm telling you now. Dino's playing shite, man. He's playing shite. And David De Gea, man. Why aye, he's playing fantastic, pet. No, Karaki. So, you know, De Gea's going to be back in training now. What if De Gea's in training and he's better than Dean? So that could change. It might not change. I certainly would hope a manager would change their mind if one goalkeeper's performing a lot better than the other. But what I was actually thinking about before the show was that if he does go with Dean Henderson, he goes with Dean Henderson. You've got to live with that. But don't also forget Romero was also a victim of the Henderson farce, as Gary said. You know what? That is a genius point. Nobody ever thinks about that. We kept Sergio Romero for a whole year, never picked him a minute, and Henderson was our backup goalkeeper. I mean, was there ever any evidence that Henderson was better than Romero? I mean, a lot of people wanted Romero to replace De Gea at times. So, you know, that was a shambles. The way we treated Romero was really poor. And, you know, let's never forget Romero, because his treatment was shocking. He won a Europa League with us. He was the goalkeeper in that final. To allow him to be treated like that was disgusting. It was. And I don't know who was responsible for it. I don't know. But it was a disgusting way to end a career. And actually, you know, he wasn't Rojo. he wasn't Rojo. He was actually a player that did good for us and never really let us down. He did have a few bad games, and I was always pro De Gea, but yeah, he was treated badly. But the point I was trying to make, and I'm labouring it a bit, let me just read these super chats. Ryan Snyder says, apparently legislation changes on Monday for adults who were vaccinated coming from amber countries. They do not have to isolate. Spain is on an amber list. There you go, Ryan. That might be a good point. Are you bothered who we sign in the midfield? I don't care about who or where he comes from as long as he has the tools for the job we need, says Joshua Bowater. I agree with you, Joshua. I think as long as we get Neves, Camavinga, or Saul Niguez, or Rice, or Basuma, I'll be very happy. Any of those five, is an improvement. Quarantine restrictions lifted for vaccinated people coming to the UK from EU from Monday. Probably why he's flying in then, says Abe. So then maybe we get the medical then, which is great. But what I was saying, I was thinking about this before we went live because I saw that David De Gea is back in training now. I haven't watched the rugby at all, Johan, I'm afraid. Not at all, which is a shame. So David De Gea comes back to Manchester United. You seriously telling me that the best paid player at the club is just going to be benched? Is that the plan? He's coming back and he's going to be benched for the season. Is that really the plan? Well, yeah, apparently so. I mean, there's no outstanding response to that. What I'm saying is, I just was thinking, sometimes I have these thoughts and there is no answer. But I was just thinking before we went live, so De Gea's back. So the plan is, as we've heard, is that we are going to bench our most expensive player. Our best paid player is going to be benched this season, apart from Carabao Cup games. Is that the plan? Really? Even though we've known about this problem for a year, we're just going to repeat it again? I mean, I don't know. It appears to be. Cleared no deadwood yet. We're almost allergic to removing players from the club, aren't we? Like, we're terrible at it. But I don't know. It appears from if you trust what we're being told, we're going to bench our biggest earner for the season for Dean Henderson. That's the plan. And I'm not knocking. Well, I am knocking the plan because we should have sold De Gea if that was the case. We should have found a way to sell him. And don't, whatever you do, loan him out and pay somebody else £250,000 a week to take our goalkeeper because they can't afford the wages. So, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but I feel something's got to happen. I do think something's got to happen with the goalkeeping situation because I just don't think you can go into another season going, one of you is the goalkeeper for the cup, one of you is the goalkeeper for the league. Oh, the league goalkeeper's not playing that well. Bring you in from cup and put you into league. I don't rate it. I don't think it's a good idea. I know we've heard Ollie say a few times, "I'm lucky." It's like when David Brent gets sacked from The Office and he's like, I'm the lucky one. I don't want to do this job anymore. I'm out on the road doing work, working on the road. It's such a fake thing. And I think when Ollie says I'm lucky, I've got two of the best goalkeepers in the league. That's not lucky. That's the problem. That's a problem. You should have one of the best goalkeepers in the league. That's why they wear the number 1 shirt. Two of them, it's like, what's that saying? Too many chefs spoil the broth. You only need one master chef in the kitchen. Two of them, it starts to get a bit tetchy. City have Walker and Cello. Having two players in one position is good. Trippier can be used for more attacking threat and Aaron Wan-Bissaka for... Julian, I'm sorry. Thanks for the super chat. I'm moving on from that. I totally disagree with you, but I'm going to respect the fact that you've done a super chat. So Julian thinks that we are now comparable to Man City because they've got Kyle Walker and Cancelo. Two very established right backs. But yeah, that'll work for United really, really well. Maybe we should keep Henderson and De Gea as well then. And let's have two very good people in every position because I'm sure that's going to end really, really well. But look, you might be right, I might be wrong. And James certainly agrees with you. Opinions on Grealish to City, says Samuel. What can you do? I don't think we really have a space for Grealish at Manchester United. I mean, some would say you always create a space for that. But... I'd love Grealish to come to Man United, but it was never going to happen. Never going to happen, of course. So, what can you do? I I think actually this is probably the most mature response to you, Julian. The problem with what Julian just said there is that you've probably given the answer yourself. City have got Walker and Cancelo. Having two players in one position is good. But you've just, I presume you watch Manchester United. If you want to compare Manchester United to Manchester City, then maybe do your homework on Man City first. Because one thing Pep does is rotate his squad. He's got Laporte on the bench as well. Sometimes he plays Laporte, sometimes he plays Stones. Like, his best pairing is Stones and Diaz, but Laporte does get game time. Sometimes it's Zinchenko at left back, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's Cancelo at right back, sometimes it's Walker. He rotates his squad. What is one of the big issues with Ollie last season? He doesn't rotate. So, this is the thing. You've almost answered your own question there, Julian, because I think it's a good point in relation to City. You can have two right backs, but I think what frustrated me when you said it is that it's not United. We don't do that. In theory, what you're saying is a good idea. Two really good right backs, rotate them a lot, keep them fresh and hungry, good idea. But we saw last year that we don't do that. Telles came in, Luke Shaw played well, we ran Luke Shaw into the ground and we never picked Telles. That wasn't rotation. That was like, Luke's playing really well, so let's play him 3 times a week. We should have rotated Telles and Shaw, because what happened is when Shaw got injured or it was a cup game, Telles was rustier than a bike that's been left out in the rain all winter. Like he was just not. He had no rhythm, and I still think Telles now doesn't, even in the pre-season games, he doesn't look like he knows the league or the tempo of the league because he doesn't play enough. So yeah, you're right. What Man City do with their right back situation and other positions is right. They do rotate a lot. I mean, look at that. Sometimes he starts Sterling, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he starts Mahrez, sometimes he doesn't. But they wouldn't go 3 months playing once a month. They would play quite a lot. I think the problem is, we've already seen with Ollie, he just doesn't rotate his team. Look at Van der Beek, look at Twansebi, look at Telles, look at Williams, look at Ahmad last season. They didn't get look-ins really very often at all. So, in theory, it's a good idea to have 2 players in every position. But you've got to rotate them. And Ollie hasn't shown the trust to do that yet. He'd rather just run Bruno and Rashford and Shaw and Pogba and McFred and Maguire. He'd rather just play them again and again and again than actually rotate them. And some people may say, well, that might come down to trust. But Telles only came in a year ago. Van der Beek only came in a year ago. They were his new signings. He didn't trust them, so he's got to rotate more, yeah. Would you prefer we wait one summer and make big CDM signing like Rice and Didi, Kimmich, etc., or cheaper option this summer? Have a good day, says Paul Morale. I mean, it's a good point, Paul. It is a good point, but the problem with that is if you wait until next summer to make your big signing, that's when United's plan is to make a big summer signing next summer, a striker. That's the priority next year. Because we almost made it a striker was almost the priority this summer. Ollie wanted a striker this year. Cavani staying stopped him doing it. If Cavani'd gone, the priority would have been a striker. Are you bothered who we sign in the midfield? Oh, that's Joshua. And Mark, saw you in 442 podcast. Loved how you were helping them. Also, those 3 are actual comedians. Who does shows, but you were the funnier one, says Levels. Levels to show. Thanks, man. I really enjoyed that 442 podcast as well. They've had Romano on and everything. Really nice lads and a good chat that was as well. It really was. But yeah, as I was just saying there, it's the striker will be the position United go for next year. I feel that what United want to do this summer, they've got Sancho, they've got Varane. Their big problem, they want Trippier. They're trying to solve the Pogba situation. And if they could get the midfield sorted and the Pogba situation sorted, they basically have everything they need for the next 2 years, apart from they know Cavani's going to go in a year. So next summer, it would be about a striker. And I think what United are hoping is that next summer, Kane's still at Spurs and Haaland's still at Dortmund, because then they can get into that race. Which is why I think Chelsea are trying to do what they did last year with Havertz and Werner. They're trying to get players in before there's a real... Because Bayern Munich would have wanted Havertz. Real Madrid would have wanted Havertz, but they didn't have any money to do it, and Chelsea did. So I think Chelsea are trying to do that again with Haaland. I think United would love it if Erling Haaland was still at Dortmund next summer. Doesn't mean we'll get him, but I think United would go hard on Haaland next summer. But he might not be there. So I don't think United will be waiting for next summer to spend a lot of money on a Declan Rice or an Ndidi. I think next summer is about trying to get a Haaland or a Kane or someone like that. So no, I think United should go for a midfielder now. And it's not always about how big it is. It's not always about how big it is. So it's about what you do with it. It's not always about how expensive a player is. It's about how suitable the player is. As we said last night, Ruben Neves could be a better signing for Manchester United than Declan Rice at a third of the price. Basuma could be a better signing than Ndidi at a third of the price. Saul Niguez could be a better signing than Ndidi for Manchester United. Camavinga, all at a third of the price. So, is Ndidi 3 times the player that Ruben Neves is? Some would say no, some would say yes. But there are players available now, and ultimately, let's not forget, we're not comfortable with McTominay or Fred as holding midfielders. We need a holding midfielder. We need better players than those two. Does Ollie not realise Van der Beek was a key player at Ajax? He treats him as if he's just come from the youth team, says Tails7. Look, Van der Beek's future at Manchester United is going to be very interesting. Tchouameni's a good player. I still wonder whether Chelsea will just go and complete that deal. But in relation to Van der Beek, I don't think that story for me has the happy ending that I want it to have. I'm confident that he will stay another year. But where does he break into that United side, Van der Beek? Where is Ollie going to use Van der Beek? We're already talking about keeping Lingard, which means he'll use Lingard as Bruno's backup. No Van der Beek. Midfield will be a midfield too. McTominay and Fred, Pogba, maybe a new signing, no Van der Beek. Right-hand side is going to be Sancho, Greenwood, no Van der Beek. Left-hand side is going to be Martial, James, Rashford, no Van der Beek. Where's Van der Beek getting minutes? I know where I would give him minutes, but where is he going to get minutes? My midfield would be Bruno, Pogba, Neves, if we bring him in, and then I'd have Van der Beek as the first sub for Pogba or Bruno. That's Van der Beek would be first sub for 2 positions. And then if Pogba gets injured, Van der Beek comes in. Or if Bruno gets injured, Van der Beek comes in. Van der Beek to me would be on the bench, but he'd be the first sub for 2 positions, Pogba's position and Bruno's position. That's what I would do. And I'd have Fred and McTominay to cover. One of them would be the first cover for Neves, and the other one would be third cover if you needed to bring Van der Beek and another one on. But I do wonder about where Van der Beek is going to fit into the team. Beryl says, why did we buy Van der Beek? That's the thing. Where does he fit into the team? Jonathan says, what's going to happen with Greenwood if we sign a striker, especially a young one like Haaland? Also, Aaron Wan-Bissaka can learn from Trippier like Greenwood is learning from Cavani. Says Jonathan Abry. Well, I disagree with that, Jonathan. I disagree with the second bit. Why does Aaron Wan-Bissaka need to learn from Trippier? He's been our first choice right back for 2 years. And he's just about to get a world-class right side centre-back. Surely Wan-Bissaka needs to play and then learn from Varane instead of learning from Lindelof, who is slow and crap in the air. But your good point was about the Greenwood situation. I like your point about that because Jonathan, because I've said this a few times and I don't know what everybody else thinks, but you make a good point. If Cavani leaves in a year and we buy Haaland, what is the future for Greenwood when you've got Sancho on the right, Ahmad hopefully coming through, Rashford will be on the left, maybe Martial has a good season as well. Where does Greenwood fit in? But this is what I mean. I think the plan is Cavani goes in a year, as we know, and Haaland doesn't go to Chelsea. But what if Haaland goes to Chelsea and Kane goes to City this summer? Who's the superstar striker we're buying next year? Mason Greenwood's got a year. Cavani's not going to play every game this year. He'll probably play about 60%, like Andy Mitten said. So Greenwood this year has got to build on last year. And if Greenwood builds on last year, we might be in a position in May where we're saying we've got one of the best number 9s in the world. His name's Mason Greenwood. That's the challenge for Mason Greenwood this summer, and underline it and remember it. Mason Greenwood's challenge this year is to convince United managers, players, fans, board that he is the Manchester United striker of the next 10 years. He is the main man. And I don't call people generational talents for a laugh. I believe Mason Greenwood has ridiculous potential. And I believe that his best position is going to be as a striker. I think he's got Van Persie vibes. I mean, no one will ever remember him, but I think he's got Stan Collymore vibes in relation to his strength up front and his ability to hold the ball up and run things. I think he's got Robbie Fowler vibes in relation to scoring goals. I think he's got Alan Shearer vibes in relation to being able to score with his, both feet and his strength. I think he's got so many different vibes to his game. I think it's so lazy to say he's just Van Persie, because actually physically he's very different to Van Persie, but obviously on the ball he's got that left foot. So it's a big season for Mason Greenwood. I think that Mason Greenwood is not somebody I'd worry about his future like Jonathan is there. I wouldn't worry about his future. He's got the opportunity, and that's all you can be given at United. Whether you're Charlie McNeil, Joe Hugel, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, as long as they get the opportunity, let's see if they can take it. If they can't take it, then, there's a life and there's football elsewhere. But I think Greenwood will take that opportunity. If there's a player out there that was born to play for United, it's Grealish. It's gutting that he will never wear the red jersey. Thomas, I think he wanted to wear the red jersey as well, but you can't knock him. United can't do that deal. But yeah, I mean, look, there's loads of young players around United, as we know. You've got Ahmad, Palestri, Shoda T-Ray, Hannibal and Alanga and many other players coming through, and they won't all make it. But the most important thing is that they get an opportunity to make it, and Greenwood will get given that opportunity without a shadow of a doubt. Kirsten says, what about Alanga? What about Palestri? What about Ahmad? What about Alanga? 3 players that I personally would like to see on the bench this season. I don't think we'll see any of them on the bench. I think they're all going to be out on loan or training with the first team, because I think we're going to go with Dan James and Lingard. We're going to go with experience on the bench, because we're not ruthless. We're just not ruthless. And I'd love to be sat here on August the 31st going, wow, let's rename August to ruthlessness, because we could be massively ruthless this month. We could get rid of Matt. I don't like get rid, because I don't have any ill will towards any of them. I think for different reasons. Matic needs to go to Italy to retire. It's a slower league if he still wants to play football. It's where Mata should have gone, but obviously Mata's not done it. Matic needs to go. Pereira needs to go for his career. Dan James needs to go for his career. Jesse Lingard needs to go for his career. Those 4 players could go this month, and I would go, wow, totally right decisions for all the players as well. And we've just cleared 4 spots in the team. We've brought a midfielder in. I knew I'd let them 4 go and only bring 1 in. If James, Lingard, Pereira and Matic go, bring 1 midfielder in. Don't replace the other 3. You've got Alanga, you've got Ahmad. Use them instead. I don't understand why. It's almost like, I said this before with Ollie. It is an area for improvement, youth. Some people don't want to accept that Solskjaer's not actually that great in relation to the youth, because they'll go, well, look at all the debuts he's handed out. Look at all the young players that are coming through. But what are we doing with these young players? Mason Greenwood's the only one who's getting game time. And is it hard to give game time to a generational talent that everybody knows is a generational talent? What are we doing with Brandon Williams? What are we doing with Twan Sebi? What are we doing with Alanga? What are we doing with Ahmad? What are we doing with Palestri? What are we doing with Hannibal? These are players that I think under Sir Alex Ferguson would be around the first team, would be around the bench, and would be getting game time this season. He would use at least 3 or 4 of those, because that's what Sir Alex used to do. It feels like we've changed our mentality. We've got these young players, we talk about these young players, but you look at the bench and you'll see Mata, you'll see James, you'll see experience. Where's the young lads? Well, we've got all these young lads. They're 17, 18, 19. A year later. We've got all these young lads. They're 18, 19, 20. A year later. We've got all these young lads. They're 19, 20, 20. We've sold them. We've sold the 21-year-olds and the 20s. We've got to map their career. And by mapping their career, you've got to be brave enough to use them. That's what we do at this football club. Ryan Giggs was playing for United at 17. We bought Wayne Rooney. He was playing as an 18-year-old at Manchester United. Mason Greenwood's been playing since he was 18. So it's all right saying Alanga's, 18, 19, Ahmad's 18, 19. They're ready. They're ready. You can't loan them all out, and you can't just have them training with the first team. You've got to get them in the team. And if you can't get them in the team, you've got to look at what the barriers are to the team. And I'm sorry, Juan Mata's a barrier. He's only here for another year and he's retiring. He's a barrier. Dan James has been at this club now. Dan James has been here for 2 years. Is there any definitive plan that he's going to be a United player, or is he a barrier to the young players? Jesse Lingard's 28. He's been here since he was a kid. Is he ever going to be the player that we need at this club, or is he just going to be a bench player? And you've got to start looking at the trajectory of these players and saying, is Dan James' trajectory bigger than Alanga's? No, I think Alanga's a better footballer. I think Hannibal's a better footballer. I think Ahmad's a better footballer. And his trajectory is going to be sharper and higher than Dan James. So, you've got to look at your barriers. Interesting how it will work out. And I think we need some ruthlessness this summer. We really, really do. But I don't think we'll see it. And we have seen ruthlessness from Ollie. I mean, he came in and he booted Fellaini out. One of the best things any manager's ever done. I loved it. Lukaku was moved out. Sanchez was moved out. Ollie can be ruthless, but I don't detect, from what I'm hearing, that we're going to be ruthless in the next few weeks. It feels like he's going to go... Look, the big hint is this for me. When we played Istanbul and we lost, and the next day it came out from a Man United source that we were talking to Pochettino, and Ollie played Everton and won, and said, I won't be losing again, and he was angry. He basically, for the next few weeks, ground out wins with McFred, Magaluf. The football wasn't great, but we ground out the wins and we got into a title race, didn't we? I think Ollie's default is to go with things that he trusts, and what he trusts is experience, and I think that's what we're going to see. He knows this is a big season, and he trusts people like Dan James more than he trusts Ahmad or Alanga. So I think he will go with those sort of players. Whether that's right or wrong, we might win the league this year. He's paid to make those decisions. And I hope he's right. Mark, Ollie too nice to get rid of his mates like Mata or Jesse, but probably more comfortable getting rid of the kids, says Andy and Bruno. And Mark, did you see the leaked photo of Grealish holding an Arsenal shirt and photo? Yeah, I don't know what that was all about, Mark, because he's absolutely not signing for Arsenal. Never in a bloody million years. Imagine if Grealish went to Arsenal. I'd fall off my chair. I really would. Ollie does need to make subs, Brian. I mean, to be honest with you, being on the subs bench is a bit of a barrier in itself at United because he doesn't use it enough. What else did I want to bring into the show? We spoke Ahmad and Bailey. So they got knocked out tonight. They didn't have a fight. They got knocked out this morning, actually, in the Olympics for Ivory Coast. They lost to Spain. I don't know how it works for Ahmad and Bailey because it's a difficult thing, isn't it? They didn't play in the Euros, obviously, because Ivory Coast is in Africa. So their season ended at the end of May when we lost the Europa League. Did they go on holiday for all of June and then start training for the Olympics at the start of July? I presume that's what they did. So why do they need another holiday? I don't know what Ahmad and Bailly did, because if you think about somebody like who's a Juan Mata. So Juan Mata is part of the squad for the Europa League final at the end of May. Doesn't get called up to the Euros. Has his holiday for a month. Comes back to United at the start of July for pre-season training. If Ahmad and Bailly did that, and then they've gone and played in the Olympics, why do they need another break anyway? Their season started. So I don't know. There's talk that Bailly and Ahmad won't be back available for United until the back end of August. But for me, surely they just get on a plane and come back to Manchester and get back into pre-season training. So I don't know. But it depends whether they did get all of June off as a break, I suppose. So yeah, interesting. Love Island's not on a Saturday, Daniel, so you're wrong with that one. How about Brozovic, says Michael John. Look, I'd consider any decent midfielder because I think we desperately do need it. Hopefully we will get one. So Varane's flying in on Monday, but that might be a good thing because quarantine rules might change in the UK, which means he can get his medical in maybe Tuesday and announced and be training by Wednesday, which means he could maybe get half a game against Everton on Saturday lunchtime, which would be good. Rival fans are ecstatic that Ollie got a 3-year contract extension, says Ferguson. Look, you know me. There's parts of this show where I've been quite critical of what I think decisions the manager will make. Never going to change that. I I remember back in the days with Sir Alex, I'd be down the pub and people would be going, I can't believe he's picked this team. Greatest manager there's ever been. With respect becomes accountability. And I respect Ollie. I want him to do really well, but I still think there's a lot about him that he needs to improve. That doesn't make me Ollie out. I don't think being Ollie out at this point of the season is really a very good thing, but I know a lot of you are. So let's see how the season goes. But there's a lot that needs to be improved. There's a lot that needs to be improved. And as Wraith says, the quarantine rules are going to change on Monday in the UK. But look, there are certain things that will frustrate me at the start of this season. That will be seeing people like Dan James and Jesse Lingard as part of the matchday squad. I don't want to see either of them at United. I massively like Jesse Lingard. I really do like him. I think he's a likeable player. He comes across as a likeable person, but I just think there's 25 million quid there and there's a career there. I think if he stays at United and signs a new contract, he's saying goodbye to the England squad for the rest of his career. He was that close to going to the Euros because of what he did at West Ham. He won't play for United to get that close again. If he goes and plays for West Ham next season, he'll probably get in the Euro squad, in the World Cup squad. If he stays at United, you'll be a bit part player. I'm sorry, you will. You will. I know. Look, in pre-season, he didn't light it up. You see a different Jesse Lingard in a different side, and he plays well in a team that gets attacked and leaves space, and that's why he works at West Ham, and that's why at Man United it's a bit more hit and miss. So for Jesse, I want him to go for his career, and I want us to get the money. And I suppose in the same way, Dan James, I just don't see a future at United for him. I think we're just delaying the inevitable, and that's not. And again, that's the opposite of being ruthless, isn't it? If everybody knows that Dan James is never going to be a United first team player, why are we keeping him here? What are we waiting for? Why are we doing that? You know, you're delaying the inevitable, I think. But I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. You know, maybe Jesse Lingard will take Bruno's place and be player of the year and will win the league. Maybe Dan James will take Sancho's place and become second player of the year and will win the league. I mean, that would be ideal, but I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen. So yeah, let's see what happens with Saul Niguez. We spoke about that at the start of the show. For me, Camavinga, Saul Niguez, Neves, just get one of them, please. Make it the priority. Trippier, I don't care if we get Trippier in or we don't get Trippier in. I do like him, but it's not exciting. The midfielder is what this transfer window is all about. Get the midfielder in and complete this summer transfer window. There is not try, there is only do. Do it. Don't try and get a midfielder in. Do get a midfielder in. And if we do that, we've done about as much as we could have done this summer. Centre-back, midfielder, right winger. That's all I wanted from this summer. And I think it's all a lot of you wanted. Let's go and do it. And let's not make any excuses. There are players there to sell. And the midfielders we want are all available for under 40 million quid. It is so simple to do it. You're telling me that we might go into the new season without a midfielder when 5 of them were available for under 40 million quid. It's that close. Just go and do it. Just go and do it. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be back in the morning, of course. And if anything breaks, thanks everyone for watching. Have a fantastic evening and take care.